So Michigan and Alabama will play in the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
That is going to be January 1st, 5 p.m. Eastern, sun setting over the San Gabriel Mountains, followed by Washington and Texas in the Sugar Bowl. It is. So Michigan, Alabama. Think about this. Rose Bowl. Michigan, Alabama, Harbaugh, Saban, all of the things at once.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the defense that Alabama saw yesterday against Georgia. Michigan's probably watching that game back and saying, oh, boy. We got to defend that quarterback design. And we talked about it after the game yesterday. It wasn't like Georgia was just confused defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They just got straight up out physical and out leveraged and just beat. Just plain old fashioned beat.
What I want to see, because that Georgia defensive line this year, not the aliens it's been the last 2 years. Guess who has aliens on their defensive line?
That will be the Michigan Wolverines.
Kenneth Grant is a freaking alien.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
I wonder a little bit about the team speed compared to Georgia. Like, do you think Michael Barrett's running like Smile London is? Do you think they got
I think
guys
it's
that
close.
Are
it's
them?
probably not identical, but I think the gap between Michigan athletically and the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Georgia has closed considerably in the past few years.
Definitely.
I mean, I think back to the Michigan-Ohio State game 8 days ago, it didn't feel like there was an appreciable difference.
No.
And Ohio State's roster is just as athletic as Georgia's or Alabama's.
And you think about the way where Michigan has shown some humanity. It's been on the back end with Maryland throwing the ball, Ohio State throwing the ball, and Ohio State has aliens in the wide receiver core. Alabama threw the ball well yesterday.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a drop back pass. Not
as good of a receiving core as what Michigan just saw in Ohio State.
Definitely not.
But Michigan has not seen anything like Jalen Milroe. And honestly, I don't think Georgia had seen anything like Jalen Milroe, and I'm not sure anybody had seen that Jalen Milroe. Maybe LSU did.
Sure, yeah.
But they really seem to have kind of unlocked what he does best. And we saw a Jalen Milroe game against Georgia where he didn't make any of those mistakes that really kind of hamstrung him early in the season.
Yeah, he played really clean football. And quite frankly, I think Michigan and Georgia are similar in the same way we talked about yesterday. They feed off your mistakes. Yeah. Does Georgia? Michigan the exact same way. They're going to play tennis with you. They're going to continue to just run the football, take the air out of the game. If Jalen Milroe plays the kind of game he played yesterday against Georgia, Alabama's going to have a real good shot in that Rose Bowl. Very good chance.
Yeah, and I'm just like, the plays that they were running at quarterback sweep. We talked about this on the field at the Georgia Dome. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm going back to say that. Sorry, Georgia Dome. But that quarterback sweep where against Georgia had it played correctly, but Alabama just blocked it effectively.
Just elephants on parade on the perimeter.
Well,
they were just, I mean, pun intended,
perfect,
quite frankly. I mean, to what you said, I mean, the athletic gap has definitely closed, like you said, between the rosters of Michigans and the Georgias and the Alabamas. But then you add Jalen Milroe into that, and it kind of makes that gap a little. I mean, it's kind of just the any given third down, he can make it happen for you.
We know these quarterbacks have their favorites and who they like, and clearly Isaiah Bond and Jalen Milroe have a bond, pun intended, as well. I mean, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve a fist pound for that. But they clearly have a connection that is developing over time, and you're going to have another 3 weeks of practice to get that figured out against a really good defense. I'm trying to think, is this Michigan defense the best defense they'll have played? It's probably comparable to Georgia's yesterday.
It's probably similar. I think it's probably, like you said, on the defensive line, they're probably better than Georgia, and at least in the interior, with Kenneth Grant being 340 and can chase down running back from 20 yards away. Like,
poor Katron Allen never saw it coming.
That's going to be a different beast. Yeah. That's going to be a different beast. So I'm curious, because Alabama, too, like we talked about, they're more of they probably scare you more when they get out on the perimeter. And so, I mean, if it ends up being a thing where you're running away from Kenneth Grant, what does that look like if you're Alabama? How does it set you up?
Yeah, and then Harbaugh, Saban. We've actually seen this game before in a Citrus Bowl.
That's right.
They have played each other once.
We did see that, yeah.
It was not pretty. But this is a different situation entirely. And listen, given everything swirling around Michigan, given that Jim Harbaugh has tried to go to the NFL a couple of times and I think still has that itch, and there's some jobs open that he might be a fit for, and the NCAA stuff, and.
A lot of ands.
This potentially is Jim Harbaugh's last game as Michigan's head coach, or has a chance to make it his penultimate game as Michigan's head coach if they win. Like, there's going to be a lot here.
If there were to be a spot where you would ride off into the sunset, and ride off into the sunset is maybe the wrong word if you lose that football game, but the backdrop of
if
the
you
Rose
beat
Bowl,
'em,
you got Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, golly.
And the winner of this game is probably the favorite in the national title game.
Yeah, and they should be. And
Even if it's Texas Alabama in the rematch, Vegas doesn't change its mind easily.
I don't think so.
And
no.
they may make Alabama favorite again in that game.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, in terms of drama. I don't think people actually care about ratings, but if they did, this will get a massive rating.
This will be very good. I'm watching.
Well, that's kind of our job.
Yep.
But this will be one that I think everybody has on the bucket list of seeing Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban in the Rose Bowl with massive stakes.